So today is the 1st of May. It is May Day, and that means it's another rite of spring. We started talking about this on the 20th of March on the spring equinox, because there are a sequence of spring return of the warmth, return of the light festivals that go on. And depending on what your latitude is, sometimes the warmth comes back earlier than it does in the farther up north. So it starts the spring equinox. That's actually the balance point where the days are getting longer and the temperatures are getting warmer. And so that's the beginning of nice. Easter is in there someplace too. That's another pagan festival of of springtime. Don't tell the people who celebrate Easter. Same thing with May Day. It's the 1st of May. It's the maypole, dancing around the maypole. It's about getting outside. As I mentioned earlier, tra-la, it's May, the lusty month of May, which came from Camelot. This is, the notion that's been around for a long time. There are things that are blossoming. There are things that are sprouting. There are seeds that are being planted with the intention of harvest. And that's something that we continue to celebrate on May Day. I don't believe in my life I've ever danced around a maypole. It's possible that I did once. I've certainly understood what the deal is with that, with the weaving and the over and the under, but it's kind of gets confused in my mind playing tetherball when I was a kid, which was the same sort of a pole, but a little more violent. The idea in planting seeds is that's the process, is to be able to prepare the soil and plant the seeds. But the idea is to have the harvest. The idea is for that growth to happen, for that germination, for that seed to take hold, for the growth to begin to happen, for that sprout to come up, for that newness to show up in the world, and then bring that goodness to us. So as we're planting seeds, and this goes for gardening or farming or spiritual growth, as we are planting the seed, we have our eye on where that's going to lead eventually. And in the same way that the farmer doesn't know exactly how tall the corn is going to be or which of the seeds is going to germinate, there's the idea of having a field of corn, and we're going to plant the corn and grow and work the process. So we get to set the intention for that experience that we want to have, plant the seed, and then do whatever is ours to do to bring that into experience and let go of everything that's not ours. So as we use the agricultural metaphor around here a lot. When you plant the seed and you water it and you make sure that the soil is fertilized and everything is good to go, you don't dig the seed back up again 3 days later to make sure it's germinating. Okay, there's part of it that we're involved in, that we're responsible for, and there's part of it that we just need to let go of and allow the process to unfold. So that is something that works equally well in your spiritual and meditative practice. What is mine to do? What is mine to let go of? Because if we get involved and try and micromanage the process, we try to outguess God and figure out what we have to do because God can't handle it, we are so undermining the potential that we are open to that it's just not a good idea. It's just that it works at cross purposes. And by the same token, if we've got that garden bed full of tomatoes sitting out there, and we know that they need to be watered, but just sit on our purple meditation pillow and allow the infinite to do the watering at its perfect schedule, then it might rain or it might not. But if it's our turn to get out there with the hose, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do that. And twice a day in our daily meditations, we go into some form of opening myself up to what's new, letting go of what's not mine, so that we can be guided into that next step, that next understanding. What is my next perfect step? And then take it. Knowing what that step is and not taking it doesn't accomplish anything. The fact of the matter is, it is a partnership with the infinite. The reason that each of us is here is because God has need of an instrument here. And if God tells you, go water the garden, or move your car, or whatever, tell your work colleagues about the trip that you have planned, then do it. Don't do it. Do not sit there with the assumption that the infinite is going to work on this project on your behalf without you. Sometimes there's something for each of us to do. And Mayday is also one of those words that has a double meaning, and I love words with double meanings, you know that. Mayday is also a radio call, Mayday, Mayday, which is actually French and means help me. When something is going wrong, that's the radio call is Mayday. And it lets everybody know, oops, there's something going on here. Heightened sense of attention and alert and urgency because there might be an intervention, some sort of activity that is going to be required when we hear that Mayday call, when we hear that call for help. And taking that back into a spiritual practice. There are times when we, in our own partnership with the infinite, can understand what is ours to do. And there are other times where we need some help. God knows what I'm supposed to do next. I have no clue what I'm supposed to do next, and that's where I get to invite the help. That's where we get to go into the silence and say, that divine power and presence that creates everything, that infinite intelligence that knows everything, I know that I am one with that. I am created by that infinite creative power. I know that that mind is my mind now, and so I open myself to that guidance. I open myself to the help. That divine power and presence, I'm claiming the help right now, the assistance and the guidance. I'm sending out my Mayday call. Not because I'm a failure without it, but because I don't have all the answers. And one of the things that we get to do in our particular teaching is we have somebody else we can ask for help as well. I mean, we're always asking the infinite for the assistance. That's where that creative power is coming from. That's the one that's creating everything. But we have practitioners. We have practitioners. So if there's something that's going on in my life that I want to have experienced differently, and I can't wrap my arms around how to do the prayer or what to say or how this could possibly work, I can rent a consciousness. I can get a practitioner who understands the spiritual practice and knows how to do a prayer and is not equipped with all of my baggage and disbelief. My practitioner does not have any doubt. There certainly doesn't have the same doubts that I have about the good that's available to me. So our practitioners have our own doubts, but we have learned how to deal with them and be present for the people who we're doing prayer with. So, Mayday. Call in some assistance. Call on a practitioner. Call on somebody to help to bring that next new experience into being. Because if we're in a cycle where we're planting a seed and digging it up and planting a seed and digging it up and planting a seed and digging it up, because that's what we've always done, then let's maybe talk to a practitioner who will say, plant the seed and then walk over here with me. So when you start digging again, it's not going to be in the place that's going to interfere with what it is that you're creating. Sometimes it's really, really simple. That's something we've heard in the prayer work stories today, which we're a bunch of, and also in the stories from the Beyond Limits students, about how it can work differently than we would have any right to expect it to work. And when we open ourselves up to a new possibility, that infinite creative power that creates everything can say, got it, it's happening this way. And then after the fact, we get to understand how it worked, even though that's nothing that we ever possibly would have thought of ourselves. So plant a seed. Plant a seed. Invite something new and wonderful in your life. As Reverend Joanne said, get your ass in class. There's another one starting on Wednesday. It's a forgiveness class. And if you find the forgiveness class to be intimidating, like something that you don't really want to deal with, I completely understand. And if you think, I don't need to do any forgiveness work, sign up for the class anyway. Because, it's the joke that I make when we're in person and we're hugging is that you can't overdose on hugs. You can't overdo the prayer. And the same thing with forgiveness. Even if you've done all of your forgiveness work, if you have rinsed the bubbles out of that bottle for an entire lifetime, take another dive in. There might be some more bubbles in there. Because what happens as we do the spiritual work is we experience a transformation regardless of what we thought was going to happen when we started the process. There's a spiritual practices class that's coming up in June. Lots of possibilities. There's a practical prayer online class that starts in a week or two. So take a look at the website. Find what it is that resonates with you. Take those steps. plant some seeds and allow the infinite to co-create something wonderful for you. Because you deserve it. You are wonderful. And so it is.